Welcome to the NLW podcast for the first time with a special guest. It's Spam Wrestling. Say hello, Spam.
How's it going, everybody?
So if people aren't, well, you probably are familiar with Spam, but if in case people aren't, maybe introduce your channel and what you're about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I originally started Spam Wrestling back in probably 2006-ish. I was in middle school at that time, and it was just, I had played with figures growing up, and I wanted to do something a little different with it. So I started Spam Wrestling, did basically a mini figure fed before, I'd like to say it was before anybody was really doing too much. There were a few guys, like there was a guy, his name was like WWE Tom, and he did like hand fedding basically. But I hadn't seen too many that did like true, like just kind of pick fedding like that early on. So I'm not trying to claim I was one of the first, because I don't think I was, but it was definitely, I feel like I was one of the earlier on ones. But then I took a big break. I think I stopped around 2007, because my original channel, long story short, it had gotten suspended, just I think with copyright stuff. But yeah, so lost all of that, so that kind of bummed me out. So I just had stopped at that point. And then just right before the pandemic hit, I was like, you know what? Let's get back into this. And it worked out well, because I had a lot of free time during the pandemic to create Spam Wrestling, and it's been a blast so far. And now I'm kind of in a break again, but I hopefully can rev it back up again.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really cool. Like you said, like, how is it taking, like, obviously I'll take a break every couple of months or so, taking a 12-year break, or however many it was. How was it trying to get back into filming and stuff?
It was a big transition, because I had moved, so I had to kind of get the space back to where I was happy with it. And it's still not 100% where I'm like ready to roll. I've been going back and forth. I had plugged a big Ruthless Aggression show, and I've started it, and I don't know. I have my moments where it's just like, if I'm not fully in on something, like I'm not happy and satisfied, so then I just wait it out. And I started it, and I don't know. It's just story-wise, I'm just not quite there with it. So I'm still feeling it out. I haven't totally scrapped it yet. But I have upcoming plans for Spam Wrestling that I feel like that's kind of the realm of where I want to go back and just really get the stories brewing. I mean, we have AJ Styles as the new champion. Finn Balor's waiting to cash in at some point. Will he cash in on his friend AJ, or what will happen there? Obviously, we have some fallout from Adam Cole losing the Spam title. Where will that go with Undisputed Era? Aleister Black is now Intercontinental Champion. Shelton still has the longest title reign in Spam. Like, things are wild at this point.
Yeah, and I've commentated on a couple of those shows, and I'll put obviously the link to Spam's channel in the description. You can watch their whole back catalogue. They've even though they've been on YouTube back for like 2-3 years now, there's a lot to get through. There's like Royal Rumbles, Elimination Chambers, Money in the Bank matches, you name it. So a lot of cool stuff that's worth checking out over there. But yeah, and when we get to talking about like fedding and wrestling, I feel like we've both got kind of similar viewpoints about wrestling. So it might not be as much of a kind of debate as it will be just us agreeing on what we like, because we're both Ruthless Aggression kids, aren't we? So kind of growing up during that era, we've got the same kind of booking styles of wrestling show, would you say?
Yeah, I would say probably. I feel like you probably like the heavy hitting wrestling a little bit more, and I think, well, maybe, I don't know, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Definitely for me, like, high flying that's always been and I know some people, that's their big beef, is that it feels too choreographed, but I don't know, I always look at it as like, that is like the true athleticism of wrestling, so it's cool to see it on display.
Oh, absolutely. And like, I don't know, because I've got a short attention span, I love those matches. I don't care if it's spot fest. I'm not gonna, if I'm watching like, I don't know, the Elite versus the Lucha Brothers, or for some, whatever, I'll get onto the Elite, don't you worry. But when I watch like a spot heavy match like that, I'm not kind of overly critiquing it. I don't care. I like seeing flips, call me crazy, but I also like seeing your standard chest bashing like you get with Gunther and Sheamus and all that.
Yeah, well, and like that, because like that match was unbelievable. I mean, I know you were at Clash of the Castle, but
Hell yeah, it was so sick, so sick.
it was fun to watch. I had to bounce for work, so I missed the end of the main event, but like it was a good show.
Yeah, really solid. Like when I bought tickets, it was WWE wasn't exactly in the best spot, so I thought, oh, screw it, I'll get them cheap. So I was literally like right at the very top of the arena, like I was basically almost touching the ceiling. It was that far back, but it was still a cool experience.
Well, so I'm going to be going. There's a upcoming Raw show in November that I'm headed down to. So we'll see. Gargano's return definitely got me back into it. Now I'm waiting for him to wrestle again, but
Oh yeah. Oh, it's only a matter of time, and the roster there is like it's getting stacked by the day. It will surely be way more fun. Now that Triple H is back in charge, have you caught much of WWE recently? What do you think of it? If you have,
I've been trying to watch it. Just with my work schedule, it's been tight, but I've been watching bits and pieces where I can. Raw seems to be still an hour too long, but it definitely is still. I feel like it's definitely improving. SmackDown, I mean the Bloodline stuff. You just got to keep that going. I know Drew. Like it would have been cool. It would have been an awesome moment.
Drew.
But
No.
I don't see, like, at this point, I think you just keep pedal to the metal and just keep it going. I mean, it's just flowing so well. And now you have all these extra pieces coming together, like, what's his name? Solo Sikoa?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a matter of time before he joined. And honestly, you could really build probably the best faction of all time.
Yeah, man, like... Oh, imagine if WWE had trios titles and you put them on the Three Usos. That'd be sick.
It'd be unbelievable.
And you put them against, well, I'm trying to think of other tag teams they've got because they had Braun Strowman run through all of them. That's a good segue, actually. Braun Strowman, your opinions on the man and him being back? He's a bit of a controversial one, isn't he?
Yeah,
to say the least.
I've had my moments with him where I've been entertained. I definitely, like, post release, I have wanted nothing to do with him, and I can't say I missed him. It's just kind of the same thing. Like, the big guys of wrestling they haven't really been my cup of tea. Like Keith Lee, I love. Like, I think he is perfectly athletic where it, like, works flawlessly. But guys like Braun Strowman, I mean, this is, I don't know if he'll love, he's probably not going to hear this episode, so it doesn't really matter, but you go from, like, Braun Strowman to, like, Great Khali, and it's like, yeah, it's just not, like, there's certain big guys in wrestling that I enjoyed, like, Abyss during TNA, like, I thought he was awesome, but it was more so they were putting him in, like, these just blood matches where, like, it just works, and you put him with Sabu, and, like, that always pans out well. But yeah, the big guys of wrestling, like, yeah, they've just never really done it for me.
I'm trying to think of a name that's like, I mean, you can't really count Wardlow, can you? Because it's like big, but not like.
I think you can. I mean, his style's pretty similar. I think right now, like, the crowd pop is really helping him, but it's kind of the same thing. Like, you're going to see what you're going to see in the ring with him. Like, there's never going to be anything that you're like, holy smokes.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I think now, at least he's been gone a year. So it is not completely different landscape, but certainly a lot has changed. So I feel like it's a little bit more fresh than it was. By the way, like, I hate the guy, like, him as a person.
Yeah.
But, him as a performer, I'm not totally against it. It's, again, if they just kind of, maybe the shine has worn off a little bit because we've seen his act was really, really hot, but too many kind of stale runs have, I don't know, hurt him. But hopefully they can put him in something worthwhile and meaningful that's not too what would be the word? They don't push him too much down people's throats, if you see what I mean. Over pushing.
I think the issue with Braun is he's just not a main event guy. And, like, and I know, like, we've been down this road with Roman before, and, like, there were plenty of people that said Roman's not a main event guy, and clearly he's proved us wrong. They just needed to turn him heel. But it's just, I don't know. There's nothing that I saw from Braun when he was main eventing that was worthwhile, and you really had a perfect story with him and The Fiend, and it just like there was nothing there.
I will point to the SummerSlam main event, the four-way. I mean, obviously there was three other people in there, Lesnar, Joe, and
that
Brock.
helps.
But it does. But I still thought he held his own, and I felt like he was a key part of that. But then again, could you slot another big man into that position and it have the same, with the same booking? Is it the talent behind the man or the the booking that's helping him really?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like I saw a rumor at one point on Twitter that was talking about. I mean, it's of course over the top, but they were talking about like Rowan returning, and obviously Bray Wyatt returning, and then you have a big like Bray Wyatt versus Roman, and then the Usos against Rowan and I almost said Rowan and Harper, but Rowan and Strowman, and it's just. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really move the needle for me. With that said, I want to see Bray back, but...
They need to keep moving forward is what they need to do.
Yeah.
It's all well and good. I know, I do appreciate Triple H kind of bringing back a lot of guys, but maybe they don't have to bring back everybody.
Yeah, Braun just wasn't my number one bring back move, but to each their own. I mean, I know there's plenty of people excited to see him back, so I'm not going to take away the fun for them.
Yeah, that's the thing. If people are happy with it, then that's good, isn't it? Now, what do I normally do on this podcast? Because I feel like... here we go. Right, I'll talk about what I usually do, right? I kind of say what I'm working on with NLW, and then for a change, because I've got a guest, I'll say, what are you working on with Spam Wrestling, if anything, or what's the most recent thing? And then we'll kind of move on to wrestling figure news, if you've bought anything new, or if there's anything that's caught your eye, and then we go on to kind of big stories in wrestling. It won't take too long. It will just kind of be like a note-by-note, minute-by-minute thing. So with what I'm working on in NLW, I've kind of started work on a new NLW 24/7 show. So it's called Penultimate, which is going to be the second to last NLW 24/7 ever, because I have decided I'm going to end it because I want to replace it with a new series. It's going to be kind of a mix of UFC type with kind of WWE theatrics, so kind of like a more legitimate sports-based presentation. There will be storylines in it, but it'll be much more about the kind of wrestling moves, because I feel like I can communicate that better in PickFed. But it's something I've wanted to do for a while, but more details will kind of emerge about that later on down the line. But aside from that, I'm just kind of editing NLW as I go, really just kind of pottering away. Revival is still up and ready on Patreon for people who want to see it for $3 on Patreon. That's about what I'm working on. What about you, Spam? Have you kind of got dipped into the figure stuff at all, filming wise?
So filming wise, I don't want to give away too many plans that won't follow through, but I had originally planned to do I originally planned the Ruthless show. Inspiration was dwindling on that, so then I was like, you know what, I have everything set up, let me do like a Royal Rumble with all the Ruthless guys, have it all planned out, started filming, just wasn't there. So it's kind of how it goes with pick vetting, I think, but we'll see. I still have it all set up, but I don't know if I'm gonna get back into it or not. Like I was saying earlier, like Spam, I'm feeling good about where I'm at with plotting out the story. I already know if I get to it, I already know who the next Rumble winner will be. I think it's a cool story to tell. There's a lot that I want to do. I think basically I'd laid it out where there will be, 3 or 4, it might be 5 shows, like big shows before the next Wrestle Nation. I had some rough title names. I want to say one was Shell Shocked.
Good name.
God, we'll eventually get back to another Declaration of War. We'll get another One Day Remains. We'll obviously have another Rumble, and then another Wrestle Nation. Obviously, the timeline for that is super long, but I think I really came to thinking with it. I enjoy having the basically long-term storytelling that I've had with Spam, and I just don't see a reason to dive away from it right now. It's just there's a lot of stories that I want to tell. There's a lot of guys I want to introduce. I kind of want to do a brand split, but that also terrifies me. But
I don't know. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm leaning.
It's cool because you've got 2 separate rosters. I mean, it really depends on how many people you want to use. But sometimes I know definitely with my audience in the past, it's kind of confused things because I've called No Limits Wrestling, No Limits Wrestling, and then I've called something else Metal, and people have been like, well, is this
Still
something
part of
else? That's why I've got it as a separate company now, because it's easy to say, okay, these are two distinct, not just brands within the same company, they're two separate things, but they still interconnect. So I don't know, maybe you want to try something with that, or...
Well, and that's where I was like, okay, well, maybe I want to do like an NXT type, like smaller, like, because like and this is a whole tangent of its own, but like I've always been a big cruiserweight guy. I mean, obviously I mentioned I like the high flying stuff. I've been rewatching 205 Live, so I've kind of been on pretty much a massive kick right now.
If anyone hasn't watched 205 Live, by the way, because I know some people didn't watch it during its original run, like, obviously skip like 2017, that era, although Neville's on it.
You can jump in, I want to say like end of 2017. I mean
2018, yeah.
I'm super biased because I'm a big Cedric Alexander mark, but you basically just watch his match with Ali at WrestleMania and then just watch the 205 episodes from there. It's you have some crazy stuff. Oh,
the tournament leading up to that was like insane because you had Buddy Matthews now, Roderick Strong, Kalisto, some really sick matches that kind of go under the radar, and then you had, trios matches before they were kind of,
Lucha House Party.
Obviously they were all the rage, but yeah, trios matches in the Fed, but more kind of risk taking, not risk taken as in moves necessarily, but just like the way they would kind of tell stories, because a lot of people thought it was just wrestling matches, but there was a lot of interwoven storyline plans on that show, like Drake Maverick versus Mike Bennett, for instance. That was quite a cool story. But yeah, sorry I interrupted you. But
no, absolutely.
I have to shill for 205 Live when I can.
Well, that's my whole thing. It's like I have a 205 Live figure shelf because it's just like there were so many cool people from it. Like, and it's funny. There's a lot of them now in AEW because you have like Tony Nese, Ari Daivari. I mean, obviously we said Buddy Matthews, Neville. There's a lot of guys, and you see Akira Tozawa doing some of his cool stuff there. And I mean, Buddy Murphy was, his title reign. So that's where I'm at right now. He just started his title reign, and so far it's been fine. I'm kind of trying to remember it all, but it's been a while. But rewatching it, like Cedric's reign was great. Now he's on a losing streak, so now it's not as fun. But
he'll be out of there soon anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
By the point you're at,
and then eventually going to Raw and getting buried. So.
Oh no! It started off well. He beat AJ, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, yeah. They should have let him win the title though. If he had been US champ, that would have been literally perfect. But
he's still on main event as we speak, so something's got to change soon.
Him and Shelton just
him and
down
Ali.
there for him and Ali
and
too.
Shelton.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! Main event. You should be watching main event. That's
main event. Guys. Main event is actually, honestly, if Hulu didn't have ads, I think I'd watch it all the time. But because they do put on. I've watched some of those matches, and like they are putting bangers on down there.
Yeah, no, Dijakovic, or T-Bar as they call him now, he's there and he's pulling out great quality matches every week. But obviously, I can't access them because I don't have Hulu. So.
Oh jeez. Yeah, that's Triple H has got to get some of that fixed out because like main event is like Velocity was great back in the day. Like you just got to figure out. Yeah. You got to put it on TV somehow.
Yeah, it is what it is, but I'm sure he's got plans. It's just can't really. He's shifted a lot, but you got it's kind of it'll be a gradual thing, I suppose.
Yeah, you can't do too much too fast, or you'll have the fan base confused. So you got to still kind of lay it out, but then like you can sneak in the Johnny Garganos and just slowly build it. Even like Pete Dunne, I think they're slowly getting him away from Butch and like bringing Imperium back. Like there's a lot of cool things going on.
Yeah, whilst kind of keeping the names still. Obviously the silly new names, but I'll have Butch if you call him Butch and have the Pete Dunne gimmick back, then that's fine.
I can deal with it.
So moving on to wrestling figure news. Now I kind of went over it last week what the new releases were with terms of AEW's kind of fan fest, releasing a lot of images of the new AEW figures. There's been a couple pre-orders been put up on Ringside as well since, such as the Excalibur figure as I mentioned last week, and the Elite 98 with the likes of Rick Boogs and Finn Balor and more. Obviously, I'm kind of skint at the moment, so I ain't buying any figures. But Spam, is there anybody that you've picked up recently, or anybody that you are looking maybe at adding to Spam Wrestling, or just having in the collection?
The one that I am excited to eventually add to the show it's kind of a weird one, but like I'm excited to add Sean Spears. I think there's a lot that you can do with him. And for whatever reason, it just hasn't worked out anywhere he's been. But definitely, I like the chairman gimmick. I mean, his stuff with Cody was great, but I mean, since MJF, it's kind of been downhill for him. But he's definitely one I want to get in and figure out what to do. Really, right now, I'm just working on a bunch of customs, so it's just kind of getting pieces in for what we can do. Trying to make some extra Cedrics. The new Shelton that's coming out from the Walmart exclusives. We'll see.
Oh yeah,
how big of a pain they are. I figure I kind of had my luck by getting the double shipment from Walmart. So we'll see. I probably won't get them at all now, like the next wave. But yeah, those are really the big ones. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm still trying to find the Walmart exclusive CM Punk. Who knows when that'll show up, but
I mean, that Royal Rumble, I know you're into your Ruthless Aggression, but they got that Royal Rumble Ray coming up.
Oh, yeah, that one. I hope the face scan looks a little bit better, but
that's the only issue, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Having them all lined up, I can tell that they've got I like the one with on the top picks that they've got, like kind of like standard face scan, but I don't like the one where he's kind of mouth agape, staring.
Now, did Jax release that attire ever? Because I feel like that'd be an easy head swap, but
they must have done, surely.
I feel like they must have,
or at the very least, they've got like a red ray or something similar that you can kind of paint up.
Yeah, because like I know Jax had like the 2006 like Royal Rumble line. I think RVD was in it. I can't remember if that Ray was in it or not.
Yeah, but come to think of it, probably not, because if it was 2006, the figures would have been coming out.
Yeah.
It was kind of towards the end of Jack's run, wasn't it? So.
Yeah. I mean, it was, they still had about a year left at that point, but there's a cool, and this is a plug for a guy I follow on Twitter, but it's like Wrestling Figure Database. They have everything on there. It's incredible. They've done a really good job putting, I don't know how much of the Mattel Elites they've put on, but like all the Jacks and anything like Bone Cruncher, like everything they have up there. Like they have a really good database.
I remember at one point in my life, I was looking at trying to find like a database like that to kind of tick off, not try and buy every single wrestling figure, but at least try and get all the series. But now I'm running out of space. I don't think I'll be doing that. And also, it's difficult to, once you got them and you're like, I don't want it, it's difficult to sell it on again. So kind of chilling out with that a little bit. But yeah, definitely cool to see something that's got the Jack series, because they've done so many like lines of Jacks. Who was the ES Productions? That was it. They did shout out. They did a series where they would look at every single figure release of a certain wrestler. So, for instance, RVD cool. And all his Jack's figures, and Jeff Hardy's as well. Just kind of researching what all the different kind of brands that they've been associated with, which is pretty sick.
Well, I could use it, because I think I'm like one or two Sheltons away from having every single one, but I need to finish that up. Like, I'm very close, but I was also like, do I get them all mock? And then I realized that I think it would start to total up a little bit too much, but
yeah, especially the old ones.
Yeah, it's cool to see all those different gears. Like, I'm looking at it right now, like, they have the Team Angle one, they have, he had an orange gear, which, like, it's tempting to make a custom of, like, the classic, like, blue and white that they're releasing as that Ruthless Aggression Elite Wave. I mean,
favorite era of Shelton.
Oh, by far. I mean, the Gold Standard stuff was incredible, and arguably that was probably his best, like, promo work, but his Intercontinental run, that first one, like, that was the most athletic Shelton that we'll ever probably see.
Could have been world champ at that point.
Yeah, I think it's... people always say, like, obviously, if his mic skills had been a little bit better, it might have, but I don't know. If you would just put him with, like, a Paul Heyman, like, he would have been fine. Like,
And they get better over time. If you're
Oh, yeah.
constantly in that kind of upper echelon, it kind of rubs off on you.
Oh,
To an extent, I would say.
I mean, just look at Jungle Boy. I mean, his promos were horrific, and he's improved. I mean, he's definitely grown up on the mic in front of us.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can see the progression there, and it's a shame. But hell, he's still employed, so I guess that's a win, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, he's still getting paid. So, I mean, I'm sure he has regrets, but also, like, you've been with WWE for so long, like, you're in a good
he
shape.
offers so much experience, to people backstage, that it's kind of valuable to have him on, even if he is on main event, just to have as a presence, really.
I just need the Hurt Business back together. That's all we still need.
No, where's Almost been? He hasn't been seen for a while, has he?
Yeah, I'm not too upset about that, but
fair enough. So now we'll go on to wrestling news. So we I've got a couple of notes here, only the big ones really. We talked about Roman Reigns' run earlier, so that's kind of done. Braun's back. We've done that. Oh, damn. Has anything controversial been happening in AEW recently? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean, it feels like there's been something going on with a guy named CM Punk, but I don't know if it was that big of a news.
I don't know. Well, right. What's your opinion on the whole thing? Because I've kind of flip-flopped over the past week. I tried to kind of give a concise answer as to whose side I would be on, but you can't really be on a side, because I guess there's always shades of black and white, really.
Yeah, that's kind of my take too. Like, I don't think you can, especially without seeing the situation full on, I don't think you can make a full judgment. I was definitely waiting until Dynamite to take a full opinion, because I wanted to see, like, I was still, like, going into Wednesday, I still wasn't sure if it was just the worst work of all time, or if, like, or if it was actually legitimate heat. It's weird, like, all of it's weird in my opinion. Like, why, like, Tony Khan just sitting there the entire time, not, like, if this is a professional sports team, like, Tony Khan shuts that down. Like, you have Punk stop talking. All of it's weird. Tony, I think, is probably fully to blame. And with that said, I love Tony Khan. I think he's one of the most likable owners that you could ever have. But I think almost the likableness is maybe coming back to bite him, because now people are taking advantage of him. Yeah,
and maybe it's his kind of persona online. Maybe he feels like he needs to be this big bravado kind of Vince McMahon type. You know, the stuff where he's kind of calling out WWE online for silly ratings, little insignificant things, really, just to try and, I don't know, it causes controversy, doesn't it? But it's not really the kind of publicity you want.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. And now with Punk's injury, like, we probably won't get any closure on, like, what the plan was. I'm sure they'll just move on from it and hope we all forget. Obviously, news still could come out. Like, I know they were talking about him getting fired, but yeah, I don't know.
Would you be sad to see? Well, I think people would be sad to see him go. But if you're Tony Khan, if Punk is saying, if it's Punk or the Elite, who would you rather have in the company?
I'd rather have the Elite.
From like a on-screen product perspective, or like a backstage perspective. What's your kind of feelings of that?
You know, everything, I mean, it's hard, because it's hard to know if Punk's just getting buried, but, like, I feel like everything I'm hearing about him is just not positive.
Yeah.
Which is, like, a little disheartening, but if you really think about it, like, it does make sense. Like, there have been stories that you've heard in the past about him, so it's just kind of like, and it's hard to know. I mean, the whole Colt Cabana stuff, like, it's hard to know who's right and who's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's just one of them things where, especially when money gets involved, it just complicates, obviously in life, complicates things, can make you turn on people. So that's, probably inevitable, especially when you're such like a high profile case, and a high profile falling out as well.
Yep.
And I was quite harsh on Punk last week, in my own mind. But then, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, sometimes if you're going to be on the defensive because you've hearing stuff about people not liking you or not liking your manner. You know, there's people who I've disagreed with in the past who maybe have been blunt. I want to say maybe it's just a different manner of his that rubs people up the wrong way. Maybe he's not doing this intentionally, but you know, that's just speculation though. I think perhaps he's in a bad mental state because of injuries, really.
Oh yeah,
and realizing that he's, you know, kind of run down. And I think if he was part-time, it would, obviously, ironically, he's saying, no, I'm not going to be one of them part-timers, but maybe he should have been part-time because it feels like he isn't, not that he's not able to hang with people, but he's definitely more injury prone based on the fact that, you know, you talk about bumps and like calluses and stuff when you're wrestling, and not being away for 7 years, you're not going to be used to it immediately, no matter how much you train, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
So maybe that's part of the kind of issue there. And there's also conflicting reports as to whether the Bucks kicked the door in or if they politely went in and had an argument. But the fact that they're all suspended leads me to believe that, you know, they all had some part to blame.
Yeah.
And their bosses as well.
Yeah, it
Do you
seems...
think that...
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think that the Elite should be demoted given the circumstances?
I think it's hard to know. Ultimately, like, I don't think we'll ever know exactly what went down. I mean, if they actually went after and attacked them, I think a demotion makes the most sense. But it's hard to know because, like, Punk did bury them over. Like, it's not. It should have been something that was discussed with, like, they should have discussed it in a more mature manner. But
all it takes is one talent meeting and one conversation.
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
To kind of steady the ship. Because you see the likes of Jericho, Moxley, and Danielson. They seem like the de facto leaders now.
Yes, and let me say this: Danielson should win this tournament hands down.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Obviously, MJF will take it off him, but
yeah, eventually.
I still want Danielson to win.
Yeah, I love Moxley, and he cut, I think, in my opinion, the best promo he's ever cut on Wednesday. But
yeah,
Danielson deserves a run. He's a company guy, and it's fitting for him to have it.
Yeah, absolutely. This all could have been avoided had you had the Dark Order win the tournament.
This is true.
And Moxley win all that. But then again, who could have seen this coming? Apparently, a lot of people in AEW.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
If reports are to be believed. We'll talk about Bobby Fish as well. Have you seen what Bobby Fish has been going on about?
I've seen bits and pieces. Bobby Fish is one of those that, like, I really enjoy Bobby Fish in the ring, but the more that man talks outside of wrestling, it's the same deal as Braun. It's just like, shut up, dude.
He's a nut job, isn't he?
Yeah.
For like the stuff you've seen, like well, I won't bring it up, but all you need to do is kind of Google Bobby Fish.
Google Bobby Fish, and you will.
He's
learn
an interesting
a lot about
character. Him. Yeah. But yeah, I want Adam Cole back as well. I feel bad for Adam Cole. You know, the only person it feels like in the entirety of AEW who's not had a bad word said about him is Adam Cole. Even CM Punk put him over.
Adam Cole seems like the best human being, along with Danielson, but it's just like those two guys, like, I feel like those are like the genuine good guys. Same with like Cesaro as well. Like, you have some really just good, kind dudes.
The problem really isn't the backstage turmoil. The product is the problem.
Yeah.
Really. And I think, I don't know if you saw AEW this past week. But
I did. I didn't watch Rampage, but I saw Dynamite.
No one watches Rampage, it's fine.
Yeah,
but
fair.
They had it did feel like it was on the right path to really getting a bit, you know, better.
All I know is I need the Acclaimed to win those tag titles. That's all I'm waiting on.
Yes, the Acclaimed. Everybody loves the Acclaimed. They're my favorite tag team. Oh, well, them and FTR at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's hard because, like, I like Swerve and their glory. Like, I think, like, Keith Lee and Swerve. Swerve is arguably one of my favorites. Him, Cedric, like, they got me back into wrestling. So, like, I'll always love Swerve. But I think you gotta have Keith Lee and Swerve both go on that singles run of some sort. The Acclaimed are primed and ready. Like, it's their time.
Should have called an audible at All Out. Had them win there.
Yeah,
but,
they 100% should have, but it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. But, yeah, who would have known? Who would have known that the Acclaimed would have had match of the weekend or match of the night even?
Oh, it was an incredible match. I was watching with my wife, and I literally said to her, I was like, this is one of the rare wrestling matches where, like, I literally felt like a kid again watching it.
Yeah, like having that feeling, it really is. It is special, and I think that they kind of tapped into that because they're quite, they take elements from like a lot of teams, don't they? Like the New Age Outlaws, and ironic because they got Billy Gunn now with them as well.
100%.
I didn't even make that connection before now, but
good old daddy ass,
so. Daddy ass, scissor me, daddy ass. And they got scissors over as well. So.
It's incredible. Like it's so childish, but it's so fun.
Yeah, you can get kids in trouble now if you like the old DX taunts.
Yep.
Now I know you got to go, so I'll be quick with this last part. So we've got NLW updates. I'll just give brief updates as to what's coming up on NLW. The Revival buy-in will be this Saturday, so that's going to feature a tag title match and a women's championship match. That's going to be pick-fed, but then the main show is going to be stop motion. So that'll come on the 24th of September for part 1. Then part 2 is the barbed wire match on the 1st of October. And on the 3rd of October, it's Lethal Lockdown. And shouts out again as well to Unforgiving Steel, who made the a lot of the barbed wire stuff for Revival and also the ring, as well as the Lethal Lockdown cage. Unforgiving Steel, do check them out on Instagram. They make some sick custom rings. But that's really all the updates I've got. Any update on Spam Wrestling? Any time that you might think you might be coming back? Or is it still up in the air?
I want to come back as soon as possible, honestly. I'm working a lot of hours right now, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that now I can kind of just squeeze in. It may be one of those things where, like, I film when I can and just can get stuff out when I can. But I know I'm excited to jump back into it. There's a lot of exciting things that I'm ready to roll with. There's some debuts I want to get going. I want to get Buddy Murphy. He's got the Cruiserweight title. He obviously didn't have a match at Wrestle Nation, so he'll definitely have a little bit to say about that. But there's some fun stuff coming up.
And I look forward to seeing it. And you should also watch it because you need to subscribe to Spam Wrestling if you want to find out when their next video is uploaded. I'll leave a link to their channel in the description and also follow them on Instagram for some cool shots and updates. Lastly, as well, patron shouts outs. I'll do this real quick. Got some new patrons this week. So thank you to Brody, Jason Beggs, Joshua, Kid Zap, Casey Hellschool, Devon Downlin, Ryan McCarthy, Cupid, Anthony Hill, Brandon Furman, Cringe God, Young Pack Forever, Flynn Lampkin, and John. Thank you for all being patrons. If you want to support the channel and maybe watch Revival early, all in full, you can watch Lethal Lockdown, all of it, the barbed wire match, really sick match. But if you want to see it now, go to Patreon for just $3 and sign up. And also maybe you want to request a match, want to request a full show. There's even an option to have me commentate a match or commentate a match with me. You'll have to look it up on the Patreon, but it's there if you're interested. So once again, thank you to Spam Wrestling. Anything else you want to plug?
No, and I know we're running out of time on the Zoom call, so I'm going to wrap this up quick, but happy to be here. And if you haven't seen Wrestle Nation, go check it out.
Do go check it out. I'll hopefully have more guests in the future because this was fun. Thank you for being on here with me.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Nice. Okay, so that's it for this podcast. I'll catch you guys later.